Okay, so it's my pleasure just to welcome you back as we pick it up from where we left last time and from the discussions you have had today. I hope that you also be able to interact with each other because networking is also very key for us. So we'll quickly be able just to listen to maybe one person from each group just to share your reflection as we continue with today's session. So we had two groups. I think group one, we had Mariam, Nolan, Robert, and Ribagiza. And then group two, David, Macau, David Okello, and Pamela. So I think any group, probably we can just start with group one. Just one person can mention how the discussions went and the key points. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening again. I'll represent group one. I think I just went there and somehow I was coordinating somehow, but I'll just give what we have been able to discuss.
Mariam, please unmute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you well now.
Yes, last week we were able to get the onboarding into the leadership training, and mainly we got the background and the broad perspective of what we expect to learn as leaders through this course and what it entails. Generally, we got the overview of the course, and then we started with lesson 1. And as members of group 1, we've been able to say that we were able to learn LACT, that is learn, apply, change, and teach. We were also able to remind ourselves on the 6 I's and 1 T, that is the influence, integrity, inspirational, impact, intelligence, and integrity. And there was the 1 T, which is transformation. And also we were able to discuss that last time we learned about the 5 C's of a global leader, that is competence, clarity, conviction, character, and compassion. And each member gave us the takeaway home. Robert said that as a leader, you have to be a good communication person, and you have to lead others from a point of knowledge. We also got to learn from the rest of the team, just gave the broad perspectives that I have mentioned. We learned that is LACT, and also the 6 I's and the 1 T. And also we have said that results don't matter. Reasons don't matter, but what matters most is the results. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, group 1. LACT, our study method is LACT, L-A-C-T. Learn what you are learning as new information, what you intend to apply, also what you intend to change, and also lastly, what you purpose to teach. So thank you so much, group 1. Let's move on to group 2. So one person can take it up from group 2 and share your reflection also.
Okay, I'll take it up. I'm Pamela. Can you hear me?
Yes, Pamela, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. My group had the 2 Davids, David Macau and David Okello. Unfortunately, David Okello's mic is still disturbing, but we were able to chat as we discussed. And what we agreed that we picked was Mwai Kibaki's saying that leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others, not an opportunity to satisfy personal greed. At least in the background, that was something that was key to members of our group. Like our colleagues, we also mentioned key, the 5 C's, and then the 6 I's and the T. But we also had the parting shot of the word influence, where I stood for being an inspirational leader, N for a leader who is able to nurture, F for focused, a focused leader, L for a leader who is ready to learn and listen, and then U is an understanding leader, an emotional leader with the proper emotional intelligence, that is E. Then N is a leader who is able to navigate. C is one who is able to communicate, and E, an exemplary leader. So the background of the study we are going to is also, we agreed that we are going to be able to be better leaders by the end of this course. And we also didn't forget that we are leaders in our houses, apart from other places where we are. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Pamela. You just joined in today and really picked it up so well with your group. So thank you. I think those reflections are able now to put us at par, especially for those who are joining us together today. And also, I think in terms of just catching up and refreshing what we had captured from last week, that comes in quite well. So we'll move on today with today's session. We might have one more breakout session just to be able to reflect again. So please keep on noting down the key takeaways. If something comes out so strongly and you feel, wow, this is my take home for today, note it down so that maybe you can engage with the groups, and also you can share on the chat even as we continue. So we are focusing on lesson 2 today, the leadership gap. But before that, there is an exercise that we didn't conclude last time because some of you didn't have the manuals with you today. So I want us to just go through our commitments in the manual, our commitment in the manual. So I know probably, Pamela, you have not received your manual, but once you get
sure, the manual, I have not received it.
Yeah, so probably we'll just take note of what we'll do today. And then once you have your manual, you can also go through this exercise. I know, Robert Gitahi, you have a soft copy. Yeah, so maybe it will also be, yeah, so it will also be good. Probably you can maybe print this part of the manual and also just note it down in terms of just our own personal commitment throughout this program. So let's go to page 7, either on the soft copy or on the hard copy. And those who don't have the manual, I'll display what is on page 7. So on page 7, we have our commitment. And there are 5 commitments. I'll request probably Nolan can take us through the 5 commitments from your manual or from the screen. Nolan, if you can.
Yes. The first commitment, I will attend the session consistently, on time, and prepared. The second one, I will share my personal experience and maintain confidentiality of discussions. Third one, I will respect and honor other people's opinion. If need be, I will objectively critique with a view to learn or enrich discussion. Then the fourth one, I will be open to change, to learn and learn or relearn. And the last one, I commit to share the knowledge entrusted to me to other reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others.
Yeah, so those are our 5 commitments, and they are all intended to help us maximize the benefit of this program, and also to bring out the issue of authenticity, because I think authenticity is very key, especially in a learning setup, if we are to maximize. So Just look at those reflections or those commitments, and then there is somewhere in your manual where you just write your name, and you write your name. I do hereby commit to the above promises. The date, you can put today's date. You can indicate today's date on the date. And then you put your signature down there. Okay. And then lastly, there is the leadership challenge. The leadership challenge in this part. And the leadership challenge says, I commit to be a transformational, purpose-driven leader who not only knows the way and goes the way, but also inspire others to embark on their journey of purpose towards the fulfillment of their vision. So know the way, go the way, and show the way. So that's our leadership challenge, to be transformational, purpose-driven leader who not only knows the way of benefit from this program and also embark on taking the journey, but also we also commit that we'll be able to help others become better leaders wherever they are. So that is page 7, and that's an exercise that I will encourage all of us just to reflect through. We try to make every part of this program a learning experience. Even the commitment themselves, if you read them critically and objectively, you realize they're also a learning experience. So that's one of the exercises we wanted to start with. Now we'll just embark on the session. We have also already taken some time to reflect on the last session. So we'll just embark on today's lesson. And as we do that, it's a very simple icebreaker on the screen. Very simple icebreaker. There is a story that is narrated, and on the internet, this is quite published in so many sites. A story between JFK, that was the 35th president of US, and a janitor, a cleaner. The president happened to visit NASA headquarters, and NASA, they focus on issues of space exploration, the issue of a lot of science exploration. And when the president visited there, he met a cleaner, a janitor. And the story is tries to help us to understand and to appreciate the why that is behind what we do. So when the president visited NASA, he met this cleaner, and he asked the cleaner when he was just touring the place, what are you doing in this place? So in his journey, the president is walking around at NASA headquarters. He meets a cleaner, just doing his job. And while he was touring the facility, he introduced himself first to the janitor, who was mopping the floor, and asked him what he was doing at NASA. Yeah. So probably you can take a guess. What was the possible answers that this janitor gave? What are the possible answers? President has walked in, meets a cleaner doing his work, and he asks him, what are you doing at NASA? What were the possible answers? If you can share on the chat or even unmute and just mention possible answers. The possible answers from the janitor.
Yes, can I start?
Yes, Nolan.
I think the first thing that will come in mind is that he's cleaning. Actually, he's just doing his work. So you talk of him cleaning.
Yeah.
Doing the work he's supposed to be doing at that place.
Yeah, true. And obviously, even the president could see, like, I'm here cleaning. Yeah, so as you say clearly, Macau also, I'm cleaning. Justas, you're saying doing my cleaning job. Mariam, Karanja, you're saying taking people to the moon. Yeah, so different answers. But this story was narrated because the janitor was able to give a very, very brilliant answer that really necessitated it to be documented so that we can be able to learn from it. Ruibagiza, you're saying also cleaning, but this is what the janitor said. I'm helping put a man on the moon. I'm helping put a man on the moon. And this is critical for us as leaders because the janitor understood the vision of the organization, his part, and also he had a purpose. And he didn't reduce what was doing to a role, but he fitted his role to the bigger picture of the organization. So this masterclass is purely based on how to impress the big picture thinking. And that's why when we started with the slogan, think global, lead local, transform the world. So it's not about the role that I'm doing, but it's how well am I fitting the role to the bigger picture. Maybe some of us are working in different areas. I know there are some of us who are teachers, there are some of us who are entrepreneurs, but I think how we look at our role fitting into the bigger picture. And one role of a leader is to keep on recasting the vision, re-echoing the vision, because we say that vision leaks. If you communicate the vision once in a month or once in 2 months or once in a year, it keeps on leaking. So we need to keep on re-echoing the vision so that people don't lose focus and they also don't reduce what they are doing just in isolation. Because if the cleaner had looked at what he was doing in isolation, he would have said, I am just probably mopping. But he didn't look at it from isolation. He looked at it from the bigger picture and how it fits. So these are stories that I encourage all of us just to impress, and more so to be able to cascade it, to be able to share it with the people that we are leading so that we are able to broaden and look at whatever we are doing in a much bigger way. So I felt this is a good point to start from today's session by looking at this story of JFK and the janitor and helping us to look at the bigger picture of our different roles or our different responsibilities. So today we are looking at leadership development models, and there are different leadership development models that we'll embark on today. And we are saying that we need to plan, or we need to enhance our plans in terms of our growth and to be able to judicially execute the plan. Planning is one thing, but now moving through the plan is another role. And I think it's very critical if we are able to enhance and make it more intentional, especially when it comes to issues of personal growth and development. There are so many other things that we plan and follow through, but I think this area of personal growth really requires a lot of attention, because we are saying without a commitment to a plan, personal growth, then growth will be based on circumstances. We'll grow based on circumstances. Like COVID has made us to really do a lot of changes in our lives. A lot of shifts has taken place, but that was based on circumstance. But we can still grow based on intentional plans, based on proactive planning of our growth. So growth, personal growth is very, very important to be left to circumstance. Because if you grow based on circumstance, it will be more of reactionary rather than of proactive growth. So as we look on this in this session, we'll be looking at the different aspects that we need to take care of in terms of our growth. And we'll use a very simple exercise, a very simple tool, so that we're able to help us to be able to marry this. But before we look at that, let me first discuss the issue of the leadership gap. The leadership gap, this will inform also our personal growth. And James Strokes put it very well that everyone can lead because everyone can serve. And we are saying leadership is a democratic role. Basically, we are saying that everyone has a responsibility to be able to lead. And last week, I mentioned a quote by Mother Teresa, where she said that if everyone can sweep their own compound, then the whole world can be clean. And basically, we are saying that if everyone can show leadership, then we are able to bring transformation from wherever we are. That is local leadership, leading from where we are. But as much as we all have the potential to lead, very few people are showing leadership. And that's why we are having a leadership gap. And there is a study that was done based on the World Economic Forum on the Global Outlook for 2015. There are so many others that have been done, but we've continued to cite this one of 2015 because it brought out the lack of leadership as a very critical challenge in today's society. So it was ranked among the 3 most critical areas that there exists a gap. And out of about 1,700 respondents to the survey, 86%, they agreed there existed a leadership challenge from government, from business, non-profits, all these kinds of organizations. 86% agreed there is a leadership gap. And I don't know if we are to really gauge, even from our own discussions tonight, I think we can all agree within our environment, within our surrounding, we can still be able to attest that we still feel some leadership gaps amongst us. I personally interact with quite a number of leaders or a number of organizations and a number of employees, and all of them will continue pointing out that where they are still feeling, they are feeling that there is a challenge when it comes to issues of leadership. So this study was able to identify a leadership gap, and looking from other stories or other write-ups, Africa has really been put on focus because there's so much potential in Africa, yet we still continue to experience a lot of low standard of living. Africa remains a net importer of food, although it has 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. And it's estimated that if all the arable land in Africa were to be cultivated with the right information and knowledge to farmers from credible research institutions and other technical expertise, Africa will be capable to feed over 60% of the world population by 2050. So basically, we are saying the potential is there. And remember, even from our opening statement, we said that the potential determines a country or a person may have the potential, but what really optimizes that potential, what really makes that potential becomes real and useful, is the leadership that we are able to show. So look at this gap. We decided to bring it closer home to Africa, just not looking at it just from the global perspective, and even bring it closer to our own entities, our own the organizations that have suffered in one way from the lack of leadership or failure of leadership. Think of Uchumi, think of Tuskys, think of Kenya Airways, which is still having quite a lot of challenges. Think of Mumia's Sugar. Think of families. We are seeing from the net, so many families, the issues are all revolving around the issues of leadership. So this points out that critically, leadership challenge is all around us. And I think we really have to do something. We really have to do something from the space around us of where we're able to show leadership, and then we broaden the space, we continue building that influence around us. And this is what motivated Global Leadership Network to be able to come in and try to just fit in and make a small contribution in terms of enhancing our leadership capacity. So there is a study that was done just identifying the leadership gap. This is based on Center for Creative Leadership. And these studies identified 4 most important future skills. And these are also the weakest competences for today's leaders. So one of the weakest area that was identified in today's leaders is leaders who are able to inspire, inspirational leaders, not controlling leaders, but leaders who are able to inspire from their leadership, from their conviction, from their competency, the 5 C's that we talked about, from their character, from their compassion. This was identified as an area that was lacking. There are leaders that, the leaders who inspire are not as many out there. Then leaders who are able to lead employees, offer, probably model how employees should be able to work, especially on the employment sector, the public sector, and also the private sector. This was a key issue. Strategic planning, leaders who are visionary, leaders who are able to think long-term. The study identified that most leaders, they are more of short-term, the short-term thinking. They really don't have a long-term vision for the organization. What the story that we have shared, that icebreaker, leaders that are able to keep on re-echoing the long-term vision of the organization. So strategic planning, strategic leaders, and also leaders who are able to champion change. Leaders who are able to champion change and lead change management. So because we are living in a world that change has become part and parcel of us, we can't think static, we have to think dynamic, and we have to appreciate change. We have to be able to embrace change while still remaining focused on the vision. So these are 4 areas that were identified as weakest areas for today's leaders. And at the same time, there are areas that a future leader needs to embrace. So I think for us today, as we reflect on this, I think being more inspirational is critical to us. And therefore, we might need to ask ourselves, how do we become more inspirational leaders? And also, how do we lead well in terms of our leading employees, and also being strategic leaders and leading change? So these are the future as well as the existing challenges that we are facing. Again, there's another study that was done, and this one also identified communication was amongst the key areas that was pointed out. The question was, what are the leadership needs in your organization? 67% pointed out leaders who inspire trust. You see, this one is in line with what we have looked up there. And then leaders who communicate effectively, 63%. Leaders who build effective teams, 61. Transformational leaders, 58. Leaders who develop others through coaching and mentoring, 56. And then finally, 42% innovative leaders. So I think if we are to gauge ourselves on these parameters, maybe we can look at ourselves. I don't know how well I can place myself in terms of being an inspirational leader, an effective communicator, and the rest of the qualities that we have mentioned out there. So as we reflect on the gaps, we'll also be reflecting on ourselves. Because remember, level 1 is more on self-awareness. So I'm trying to think about my leadership. I'm trying to think about these qualities, and I'm putting myself on the measurement scale. I'm trying to really look at myself as a leader, and trying to look from the 5 C's, from the 6 I's, from these gaps, and then at the end of it all, we'll be able to put this together and see how do I develop a strategy to improve on this area. So this is a leadership gap, and I think here critically we can see inspiring and also communicating coming out very well. So from this survey, and to help us improve in our leadership capacity, then there are a number of steps that were identified from the survey that we have looked at to be able to help both the individual and also the organization to be able to take strategic and more tactical approach to help us become better. So the survey was able to identify 5 steps to help us or to help the organization or individual to be able to bridge the gap. So what are the 5 steps? One is that I need to perform a leadership needs assessment, maybe of myself, or even those who are in the organization. I think this is a common exercise. So what are my leadership needs? What are my leadership needs based on what I have learned, based on what I'll continue to learn, because we'll continue to learn quite a lot. So the first beginning step is to be able to analyze myself with the knowledge that I have been able to gain, and also look at the leadership gap. Then I need to also to create a leadership strategy. Basically, we are saying I look at the vision, I look at my long term, and then see how do I align with the new skills that I need to pick, so that it becomes more of a long-term approach to leadership development. Then develop clear, specific goals and strategies, either for individual or for the organization in terms of leadership development. So I just trying to be able to come up with items that you can measure, so that I'm able to know, am I growing? Am I improving? Maybe such kind of a setup might be one of the ways to help us to be able to bridge some gaps. So specific goals, maybe I may just personal level, in terms of training, in terms of personal growth, maybe reading materials, reading books, whatever strategy that you're able to pick out to help you to bridge the gap. And then create a system which now helps to maintain consistency, and also to be able to have a reflective part of the system, just to help you to be able to gauge if you are growing, if you are achieving your objectives, your goals, and just to help you to be on track. And then evaluate how well is the system working. Are we achieving the intended objectives? Are you fulfilling the goals? So if there is any hitch, if there are still any gaps within the system, then we're able to work around that and to be able to enhance. And then the cycle continues. So this is just a basic. I know we'll continue to unpack this as we continue, but for now, it's just more to help us reflect on this, and just to see how to contextualize this at our own leadership space. So basically, that's lesson 2 is focusing on issues of leadership gap and how well we're able to embrace the system thinking to be able to bridge those leadership gap. So this is the challenge. This is a challenge as stewards of this present age. We must face the challenge of developing, training, releasing, and reproducing a generation of leaders who can secure this generation and the next generation. So from the manual, reflect on the 3 questions from the above mentioned survey and respond authentically to the questions in the training manual. So if you look at the training manual on page, let me check the page 13. Page 13, if you can all go there. Page 13, so page 13 and page 14, that is where we have our leadership challenge. So what leadership skills and perspectives are critical for success now and in the future? These are questions just to help us brainstorm based on what we have learned. We can be able to pick from what we have learned, or even from other qualities that you feel are very critical for a successful leader now and in the future. And then how strong are the current leaders in these critical skills and perspective? Probably here you can look at one leader. Is there a leader out there that we can be able to emulate, or a leader that we can be able to mention is a model that we can be able to learn from? And then the last question, how aligned is today leadership with what will be the most important skills and perspectives in the future? So how aligned is today's leadership with what will be the most important skills and perspective in the future. So from this, we're able to look at probably the current leadership and if it's aligned with what we feel probably with the most critical skills in the future, because we know that we are living in dynamic world now, and so much change is happening. We can predict probably few years to come, things will be very different from the social media and so many other technologies that are coming up. Then that calls for very dynamic thinking for leaders. So that will be our reflection, and we'll give you some, probably just another 7 minutes just to think around these questions. Think about these questions, not necessarily all of them. You can pick maybe one question that you can reflect on and share our own personal experience again, and then we'll be able to reflect that together in the plenary. Okay, so I'll just allow us back to not necessarily the same groups, but I think for purposes of maximizing the benefit, we can still get back even in the same group, just to brainstorm again on the leadership gap. And you can even add, if there are other gaps that you feel there, you can still add any other gap, which we can be able to discuss together. Are we good? Just confirm, is it okay? Are we okay up there? Can you give me a thumbs up if you're flowing together? Give me a thumbs up if you're flowing together. Okay. So we'll have another maybe 7 minutes or so just to be able to reflect on what we have learned so far. The leadership gap is critical. Pick it from whatever angle you may feel is necessary. What we need to really embrace together, especially in these current times and the direction that we are taking. So I think because we are quite many now, maybe we can create 3 groups so that we're able to have time to really internalize the issues. So let me create 3 groups. 3 groups. Yeah, so let's discuss about the leadership gap and the new skills that we feel are very important. And any point that came out very clear from the discussion, please feel free to engage on that. And then after 7 minutes, we'll be able to come back and continue. So you can feel free to join the groups, and then let's engage on the discussions. How was the timing? David Macau and your group, was the timing?
Limited.
Yeah.
You are able to manage it.
Okay, you're able to manage it. Good, good. I think that's the spirit, the spirit of leadership. You know, when it comes to resources, I think resources will never be enough. That's why we keep on justifying and prioritizing. And I think resources also counts in issues of time. But you tried, you're saying you tried. So let's see, listen into the reflection. I think the reflections are very, very important in these sessions. We really, that is one of the parts that we really treasure so much. As much as we have the content that we are delivering, but I think the interaction and the reflections are very, very important. They help to bring out from the personal experience and also enrich our discussion. So we'll briefly just listen into the groups. Room 1, we had David Macau, Nolan, and Robert Gitahi. So I think we can start with the group 1, and then we'll move on to group 2. So group 1, welcome. That's room 1. So room 1, whoever is presenting, either David or Nolan or Robert, please proceed.
Yes. Group 1, we started with the questions. Whether we handle question 1.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, what leadership skills and perspectives are critical for success now and in the future? So the first one we gave was be aware of the vision and mission of the organization that you're in, and also be able to share so that at least people may know what you have and how you're going to handle them in any leadership position that you're in. Then the training part was also essential, in the sense that leaders have to gain the skills, have the knowledge, and know what they are doing for themselves and also for those that they are leading. Then there is also good communication skills. At least that one will make you have a good relationship with the people you're leading and also with yourself as well. And that one was to know members' abilities. At least you're able to know which part they are good in, or what they are good in, so that you can also be able to balance and have a way of leading them, and also getting to know how you can handle them in each and every level. And also the last one was inspiring. There was also that commitment, and also having a strategic plan on how to deal with the leadership in whichever level you're in. Yes.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Room 1, for the enrichment. Perspectives, basically we are talking about probably the issues of attitude, the issues of the thinking style, the beliefs, and also the thinking about leadership. Yeah, so room two, we have David Okello, we have Justus, and we have Rui Bagiza. So room 2, take it up. So room 2, please take it up.
Okay. Thank you. In room 2, we got a challenge with one person member who has a challenge of microphone. That one who are using iPhone, but we tried with the chat. That's why we say that at time was discussed about one, what leadership skills and perspectives are critical for success now and in the future. We have seen the challenges that we are having, especially in our cultural African countries where there is a dictatorial systems. People don't understand the others, but we have seen due to our lesson that we have to things we have got is that we have to communicate with members, and everyone has to raise his voice just to emphasizing a commitment. Then we seen the ability of members, where every member has the ability and we have to take just raise or thank you for that.
Thank you so much. That's room 2, David Okello, Justus, and Rui Bagiza for the input. Finally, we have room 3, Mariam, Pamela, and Rebecca. So room 3, you can proceed.
I'll give a background, our discussion. I'll represent the rest of the team. Rebecca had a challenge also with the mic, so we did a chat. And Pamela has not yet received the manual, so yeah, but at least we have been able to go through the 3 questions. And the first question on what leaderships and perspectives are critical for the success now and in the future, we were able to look at the gaps that are existing, the gaps that have been identified, the 4 gaps. That is the ones that are lacking, the gaps that have been identified lacking, with 86% of leaders lacking. And we were able to convert them and say these are some of the skills and perspectives that the leaders need. One being an inspirational leader, and that is being a motivator, or being a motivator or an inspirational leader. Then 2, being able to lead employees. And we said you have to be an example, being an example to the people you are leading, so that they can also be able to learn from you. And then we looked at strategic planning. That is, we need leaders who have a vision, who can set goals, and leaders who can have a leadership strategy. And then we looked at change management. We need leaders who can champion change, or leaders who can bring change to the people they are leading. On question number 2, how strong are the current leaders in these critical, how strong are the current leaders in these critical skills and perspectives? We discussed and said that since there are gaps that exist on the leadership, and the current leaders lack a vision, they also the current leaders also lack skills, and hence they are not able to mind their own business, as in they are not able to I don't know how to explain it, but the current leaders lack the critical skills to lead the others. And the third one is that the current leaders want to gain immediate results without being patient. Like they want pesa pap. Also, them that are being led want things done pap, like receive things very fast without being patient and waiting for the process. So they are not ready to wait to be fully baked to lead others, and also to be patient with the people they are leading, but they expect results from them that they are leading very fast. The last one, as I conclude, is that not how aligned is today's leadership with what will be the most important skills and perspectives for the future. We said the current alignment of, we are not well aligned, as there is a gap of 86% as identified in the survey that was carried out. So we are having a gap and we are not well aligned. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I think we can clap for ourselves. Each group has done quite well. Thank you so much for those insights. And we appreciate the discussions. And I will challenge all of us. I think this is a discussion that is both looking in and out. So as we look out there, we're also looking in here. We're also looking in here. Maybe just take 30 seconds just to reflect on your own leadership, and what commitment are you making from this kind of a discussion? The gaps that we have identified, the challenges that we have identified, those issues that we are discussing today. What commitment can you make as a leader? As a leader, maybe something that you feel, wow, this is something that I need to run with. These are the issues. Yes, we have looked out there, but if I look in here, what commitment do I need to make to become a better leader now, and also to meet the demand of the current leadership space? So just in 30 seconds, you can think about that, and feel free to put it down as your own personal commitment. Good. So that will be part of our takeaway, whatever you have noted down. We'll conclude with lesson 3 for today. And I mentioned this when I started the leadership development models. And as we get to the leadership development model, I'll display some leaders and just one word, just share one word about the leader that we'll be seeing on the screen. So one word about the different leaders that I'm going to display, either unmute or just share on the chat. One word about this leader. Sorry. So one word about the leader you are seeing now. What is your one word for this leader, either on the chat or unmute and just mention? Or maybe I can start. You can be able to see my screen and you can be able to see the leader on the screen. Maybe someone just confirm that first.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, one word I see on the chat. Just as you're saying patient. Pamela, you're saying visionary. David, you're saying technocrat. David, you're saying action. Nolan, you're saying humble. Okay, I think these are all positive. How about the second leader? Humble. How about the second leader? The second leader, we can be able to identify who he is. And one word about this second leader. The second leader. If you feel free to unmute and just say something, that will be okay. Mariam, you're saying resilient. Wow. Resilient. Visionary. Democrat. Visionary. A strategist. Charismatic. Wow, I like the qualities. Charismatic. Okay. Let's move on to the third leader. Maybe the third leader, we can start by identifying who is that leader. Someone can just mention who this leader is. Who is this leader? And maybe in the quality. Yeah. Ribagiza, you have said it's Hitler. That's very true. So one quality about this leader. One quality about this leader. One quality about this leader. Autocratic, that's David. Thank you, David. Here, I see here the responses are a bit slow coming. Dictator. Dictator. Yeah. So this is not positive. It's not positive, unlike the other two leaders. So let's move on to the third leader. The third leader, authoritarian. Pamela, thank you so much. Okay, the third leader, I'm sure we can all be able to identify her. What's your one word about this leader? Your one word about this leader, the lady that we are having on the screen. I'm sure all of us know her. I've mentioned her quite a number of times. So your one word about her. I think this is also part of our history in terms of leadership. Okay, I can see, Pamela, you're saying sacrificial, humanitarian, humble. These are also positive. These are also positive. Visionary, humble, loving, Wow, I like that. Okay, next we have someone there that I know we all are able to identify this person. Your one word for this leader. Your one word for our fifth leader. One word for the fifth leader up there. Okay, let me see. Someone is saying dictator, authoritarian, principled. That's a new one. And then let's take one more and then we move on. We still have like two more leaders. Principled. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one, I know all of us, we can identify this leader. Your one word for this leader. Your one word for this leader. Funny. Wrong. Funny, okay. Carefree, self-centered. These are powerful qualities of leadership. Self-centered. Then we have the other leader there. There's another lady there. Okay, charismatic. Still, I believe that is for the other leader. So let's move on to the lady that we can see on the screen there. Sacrificial. Thank you, Justus. Sacrificial. The lady. Any other comment about visionary, Pamela? Fearless, David. Fearless, David. I think these are all very important qualities of leadership. How about the courageous? Macau says courageous. Very true. How about the final leader? Impactful. You're also impactful. A fighter. Fighter. Very, very true. Now let's go to the final leader. Who is that final leader? Someone just help us to know who is this final leader. There is a final leader there. Thank you so much, Nolan. Thank you, David. You are saying, this is me. This is me. So how can we describe this leader? One word for this leader. Your one word for this leader. Your one word for this leader. Yeah, I like that patient. Thank you so much, Pamela. Just as charismatic, this is part of our own personal awareness. So if I meet Justus, I think the one word that will come is charismatic. If I meet Pamela, I'll be knowing patient. I think this one, all of us can comment because it's about us. It's about us. So your one word about this final leader. Pamela, I've picked you as Justus, I've picked you as, let's see the rest of us. The rest of us. Okay, David Okello, you're saying calm and collected. David, you're saying patient. Rui Bagiza, you're saying courageous. Nolan, you're saying courageous. Yeah, so I'll keep this in our data bank. Mariam, you're saying principled. And I think we still have, I think we still have Robert. Robert, I trust you also following, Robert. So just continue sharing, but I think this is important because one day our story will be told, just the way we are looking at the story of these great leaders. Yeah, so Robert is being focused. So one day our story will be told, and maybe our story will be used in a class, just the way we are using these stories today. And it's our spirit that will not struggle to look for words to describe the kind of leaders we are. If you have noticed, anytime we are talking about Hitler, we are trying to look for words. When you're talking about some of these leaders that really didn't have that positive impact, it's hard even to get a description of what they did and who they were. But if you're talking about Nelson Mandela, if you're talking about Mother Teresa, Mwai Kibaki, the story flows. The story flows. That's our spirit, that's our prayer, that when our story will be told, people will not struggle to craft a story about us. But so much will flow from our life that the book that we talked about, the greatest story ever told, there will be so much that people will want to just read about us and talk about us. That's the spirit behind this. How do we bring out the best in us so that we can be impactful leaders now and in the future? Let's climax this by looking at the leadership development models very briefly. Wow. I'm sorry, but I can say I think we were overtaken by the discussions. And I see it's already 9:30 and I may not want to extend because if we start this, we might take another 30 minutes or so. So I think you will allow me just to pause here for today. Allow me to pause here for today. Are we in agreement on that? Because of our time? Yeah, I think.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, I think we can pause here because it's already 9:30. So that we are able to engage probably on other activities for the day. So if you can just close by maybe what is your one takeaway for today? Your one takeaway for today. Just mention that in about 2 minutes as we continue. So David Okello, if your mic is not yet up, just note it down. I'll read it out. Your one takeaway. But I'll allow Justus. I see Justus is on. Justus, I think we haven't heard from you today, but if you can unmute and just mention what one word or one takeaway, that will be good just to climax the discussion. So Justus, your one takeaway?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, my takeaway for this day is this man from NASA, how to embrace the big picture thinking. Yeah, in all my leadership, so that is something that I have to really put on, looking on the bigger picture than what people are able to see from the grassroots. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much, Teacher Justus. Okay, Nolan, your takeaway?
Yes, my main takeaway is just to work on the gaps that we have in leadership so that we can become good leaders and also be able to lead people with good skills.
Yeah, thank you so much. The leadership gap is to note that and improve on the areas that we need to improve on. David Okello, is your mic now okay? If not yet, please just a chat. Okay. David Okello, you are saying you are gifted differently in terms of leadership. We are all gifted differently in terms of leadership. That is your takeaway. David Macau, your takeaway, and then we'll move on to Mariam.
Yeah, my takeaway would be this evening, the issue of the challenges we are facing. And when it comes to the people that we are leading, you keep on reminding them about the vision.
Yeah, we said vision leaks, and it's always good to keep on refocusing the people to the bigger picture so that they don't reduce their role to be the destination. The role is a path towards a bigger picture. Thank you so much, David Macau, Mariam Karanja, and then Pamela.
My takeaway for today is that indeed there exist leadership skills. It's important that I identify them and work towards them. But also I have learned that everyone can lead because everyone can serve. Yeah.
Yeah, powerful, very powerful. Pamela, your takeaway?
Thank you very much. My takeaway for this evening is that I should be conscious of the gaps that exist in leadership, and I should lead in such a way that my story will be easy to write. When my picture flashes, people should know what to say about me. That means I need to be a very purposeful leader. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you so much, Pamela. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Mr. Robert Gitahi, your takeaway.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So my takeaway message is that as a leader, I should continuously evaluate myself to know the areas that I'm doing good, those areas that need more inputs. Yeah, those are my takeaway message.
Yeah, continuous self-evaluation. Thank you so much, Robert. Ruibagiza, Justin, your takeaway for today's session. Ruibagiza, you can unmute and share your takeaway as we close.
Okay, my take picture of your left after you went or after passing away. Thank you.
Yeah.
The big picture you left in a society or where you belong.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our legacy. We're writing our story now, so I think it's good to write it intentionally and consciously. As Pamela has said, when the picture flashes out, people will not struggle to create a story. We've seen this happening when someone passes away, and it's really hard even to write a story. There's a burial I attended and there was no eulogy. They said you all have a story about that person, so just the way you know him, believe it and read it that way, because we don't have another story to tell. And you could tell there was a challenge. Maybe something was being covered up. Our life, I think we are living it so that people will be excited to talk about it. And remember when we were discussing last time, I said from one of the quotes that I read, when a child is born, the child cries and the world rejoices. So we should live our lives in such a way that when our time comes to exit the world, we'll all be smiling when the world will be crying, because they have lost someone who was impactful, someone who was loving, those qualities that we have mentioned here about those positive leaders, someone who has lived a sacrificial life, someone who has transformed community, and someone who they feel should have stayed for a longer time. There are leaders that we feel they should stay for a longer time, but still there are leaders that we feel probably they have not given us the best. So we live our life in such a way when we exit, the world will pause and feel that someone has left. And I trust that our story will be a better story from today. We'll be more intentional as we continue to write this story. Let's share what we are learning. You get an opportunity probably next week with your team. Share one or two points, one or two principles, one or two key outstanding issues that we have shared today, so that we can continue to transform those around us. Thank you so much. We are happy. We are looking forward to another Thursday next week so that we can continue engaging. So we'll pause there for today. Allow me just to invite Reverend Kahindi. Reverend Kahindi is an alumni of this program, just to say hi and close with a word of prayer.
Good evening, leaders. I was
Good
lucky
evening.
to join. Thanks, ma'am. I was lucky to join you a bit late as you're concluding, but I'm glad to be here. Just one word that I can say for today for you. Please be resilient. I went through this course. I'm an alumni here, and if I did it, you can did it also. Others have did it, so you can did it. It is a challenge. It will stretch you. But if you go the way it's supposed to be, I have no doubt that it will add value in your life. So we shall be meeting here online, and we shall be talking more. Because I'm the one who came in late, let me just put a full stop there. And may I ask you all to unmute? Then we shall share the words of grace together. I'm waiting for you to unmute, Pamela. Justin, David, unmute. Justin, Ruibagiza, good. We are good now. So go together. And now may the grace
Yes, of our
Our
Lord
Lord
Jesus
Jesus
Christ
Christ,
and the love
the love of God,
God,
the fellowship
and the
the
fellowship
fellowship
of the
of the
Holy
Holy
Spirit
Spirit
be with us
be
now
with
with
us
us now
now
and
and
forevermore.
forevermore.
and forevermore.
Amen.
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 Amen. God bless you. God bless you so
God
much.
bless you too.
God bless
God
you.
bless
Good
you
night,
Bless
too.
you.
everyone.
Night.
Thank you.